Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a rather miserable Paris this morning in the drizzle, as we're going to take the PMDG Boeing 737-700 to a very quick short flight north to Heathrow in London, UK. So let's go ahead, jump on in and make a start. Turn the battery on. And let's go ahead and request ground power unit. Request ground power, in it goes. We also have ourselves a flight plan today. If we take a look, since the latest update here with Navigraph, we do actually get to see the flight plan within the Navigraph app here, or the plugin, which is fantastic. And so just a couple of things to point out here. It is the Orly airport in Paris. It's just to the south of the city, to Heathrow. We take a look at the weights here. We are in Imperial. We see here fuel flow is in pounds per hour. So that on that front page means all the weights are in pounds as well. And so we will use this to load the aircraft. If I just... That's what I'm trying to do, get ground power on. I will get the nav systems aligning. Excuse my wonky track IR while we do that. I'll also go ahead, get the circuit breakers lit up as well as the panel upstairs. Now that we've done that, we can get logo nav lights are already on. Let's also get the... we don't have smoking signs today. Okay, fair enough. Right, let's request what we're trying to do then. I'm not sure if there's an easy way to load in the flight plan, but if we come over to the fuel, let's do it this way. We can see our block fuel today, 10,322, so we'll round that up to 10.4. That's in there. Return payload. If we come further down here to the third page, is 149 passengers in total. I don't think we're able to carry that. So instead we'll try match the payload total, which includes cargo, 34.3, giving us a zero fuel weight of 118.4. Well, our current zero fuel weight is 118.1, so we just need to add a little bit more onto the cargo. Let's go for something like 5,900 pounds in the back. Interesting, it wouldn't. It's actually rounded it. That's actually lowered it, which is interesting. What about, can we put it in the front then? A little bit. Let's try get the extra passengers, see if that does it. That's now too much. We're just trying to get zero fuel weight to match with our plan here of 118.4. That'll do, 118.5, that's as close as we're going to get it. And so, with the fuel and the payload set, we can carry on, I think, with planning the route now. Let me just get some lighting on in here. I always feels like there's something missing without it. I'm going to do the same on your side as well. And let's carry on. So into the flight plan itself, there we go, 737-700. Latest IRAC cycle, there was an update, so you can see here this is now valid for October 2023. Us in it where we are, which is LFPO, Lima Fox Papa Oscar. Okay. Set the position. We'll just pinch the GPS coordinates to do that. Let's go over to the route page. See, I'm going to try this time to request the flight plan. Let's see if this works. I guess not. So let's go to the origin. Let's put in the destination. We'll just type it in manually. It looks like you can load it in some way, but not today. So our destination, Heathrow, EGLL. And so that's it. Where we are from, where we are to. Flight number. We are flying as British Airways or Speedbird, but my flight number is going to be Internet Flight Rules. And just as I started to press record, I noticed the subscriber count ticked up, and it ticked up to 232. So whoever just joined, welcome. So we've got the appropriate flight number. Come over to the next page then. Let's take a look at the route. So we need to scroll down to the second page on here. That's good to know the mouse wheel works. And so from runway 6, we're expecting the following departure to go to Opale. That's our first waypoint. I do want to fly over the city of Paris regardless of what our departure says. Then it's the Upper Tango 421 Airway. And that takes us to the Upper Tango 426. And that takes us to the Upper Tango 10. And that ends up at Aliso. And again, if conditions permit, we'll take a little sight around Heathrow as well. So we'll activate that. Okay. Let's come over to the performance page. And again, I'm just going to grab the 0 fuel weight there. Reserves, we will know because we've got a flight plan today. And that is, take a look at this line here. The final reserves plus the alternate is 4,300 at the sum. So we'll put 4.3 in. I don't round that off to avoid excessive notifications. Cost index today of just 6. I'm just going to increase that to 20 because 6 is like a little too low. Reckons we should be cruising at flight level 240 or 24,000 feet, so we'll put that in. Average winds today for our cruise, 24 knots on a heading of 219, so 219 at 24. And again, this is a difference between the PMDG. It's asking for the top of climb outside air temperature, whereas the sim brief shows it as the ISA deviation. Now +7 means it's 7 degrees warmer than it normally is. Obviously that's different with top of climb. I think we can review it down here if we take a look at the flight plan, and here we see top of climb, and then over here's the temperature -26, which is, well, in this case that's what's in there, but in Fahrenheit. I assume the outside air temperature is done in degrees centigrade, not Fahrenheit, but I'm going to leave it just in case. And, oh, last but not least, the plan for the fuel, we didn't put that in. So if we come over again to page, yeah, it's the first page. You can see that we plan to use £4,318. So around that, just to 4.3. Okay, there we go. Exec that in. N1 limit then. It's a long runway, so we'll derate to 20,000, but we'll go full on the climb. Takeoff flat 5. CG is 22.9%, which means center of gravity is slightly more forward than usual, only slightly, which means we need to trim slightly further aft than usual. But again, little numbers here. If we take a look at the numbers, do we have the numbers yet? No, because we don't have a departure in yet. And if we take a look on the plan, we are expecting runway 06 for the Opale 1 Hotel. So 06. Opale 1 Hotel. Exec. If we set this to plan, this is what it looks like. So we're taking off in a northeasterly direction, then a right-hander, right-hander, right-hander. So that's taken us away from the city, but then it corkscrews around to a northerly departure. I think I'm going to ignore that just because I want to fly over the city, but we'll hook up with the departure once we've done that. Insufficient fuel, yeah, we'll clear that notification. So now if we come to the init N1 page, yeah, derating for takeoff. We've now got the V speeds. Decision speed 123, rotate 124, and if we lose an engine, it's 130. Which then is the speed that we put in here. Taking a look at our departure itself. At or below 2000 for that particular waypoint. And then we continue on. Do we have any climb height? There we go, initial climb clearance 8,000 feet, or should I say flight level 80. 8,000 set. Runway heading there looks initially like 061. Let's just confirm that with what we've got here. 061 it is. And so with that, we're all about set. So let's go ahead. I think we saw our ground power, sorry, our INS be aligned, which means we can disconnect ground power. But first, let's go ahead and start the APU. And while we wait for that, let's set our pressure. So if we come over to our flight plan page again and scroll down to the weather part of it. Come on. Here we go. Departure. Winds are 350 at 6 knots. 320050 variable. Visibility clear. Broken clouds 4,300. Temperature 20 degrees. So very cold for a French summer here. 20 degrees. QNH 1014. So we'll switch over to the QNH. 1014 is set. No significant weather. Forecast. Chance of rain, potentially thunderstorms and rain later on, so not the greatest of days. Taking a look at Heathrow, conditions at least for now looking a little better. Slight possibility of rain later on, but looks like at least for now better. Broken clouds at 3,300, so we'll have to see how things are when it comes to freestyling portions of this flight. But for now, let's get rid of this. Let's get, yeah, we're going to require this chart, so we'll push back where we are then. taxi along Echo, and then along Whiskey all the way to the end, assuming that is, yeah, Whiskey here, I think. Okay. Let's go for it. I'll just scale down the chart a little bit and minimize it while we get the pushback sorted so the APU is ready. Should have already armed the lights, but we've done it now. Get the window heats on, get the yaw damper on. Let's go for the pushback then. I've still got a door opener here, that's signified by the forward entry light there, so let's see if we can close this. Release ground power. Doors close, there we go. Push back. Let's go.
Cockpit to ground. Go ahead.
Door has closed.
We've been cleared for pushback and start straight back. Roger that. Ready for push straight back. Release the brakes, please. Brakes released.
Right, trim was 5.6.
Brakes released. Here we go.
That's now set. And the pushback has started, so let's turn the packs off. And with it, we'll start number 2. Fuel in. Good start, let's start 1. Fuel in. The transponder today was 023, I think it was 32, right? Oh, it's a bit fiddly, this. 0232, let's just double check. Not that it matters in the grand scheme of things, but, you know, let's try and get it right. Where are we here? There we go, 0232 indeed it is. Okay, right at the very top. Right, both engines are up and running. Let's get rid of this. Come over to the systems and do a flight control check. Forwards, neutral, aft, neutral, roll left. Neutral, roll right, neutral. Interesting there, the spoiler indicators are coming up. Is that actually... Wow, okay, they're not functioning. Let's take a look up here. Is that because... Oh. Let's get the engines generating. Let's get the packs back on. APU bleed off. We'll get the anti-ice on the probes now. And now let's have a look. Forwards, aft, rolling left, rolling right. We still don't have the spoilers going up. The rudder also not working. This is interesting. Is this some kind of a fault? I mean, the controls are moving inside. Very interesting. We'll have to see. Right, park and brake off. We'll have to see. That is interesting. I don't know how else to say it. Now we've got auto brake caution here. Let's try that again. There we go, that's now clicked in. Flaps set. 5. Engines continuous. Wheel well off. Turn off and taxi lights on. Let's go for it. Why aren't we moving? Oh my god, why is this tug still here? Right, now is it gone? No wonder the flight controls weren't working properly. Let's try it again. There, look, the rudder and the spoilers working. Interested that the tug would prevent the spoilers going up. I'm not sure if that's a thing or not, but certainly it seemed to be. Let's make our way over then. Suspect it was this direction. There's an aircraft just taking off over there to our right. I think he might be departing on the runway that we're making our way over to, but I see no reason to delay, so let's go for it. Straight to the end, a slight kink to the right, a slight kink to the left, and we're there. Scale this down a bit. There we go. Flaps 5 set. Auto brake set for the RTO. Engine twice. I'll tell you what, there's no... I'm not hearing the sound of the aircraft taxiing, you know, the ba-dum, ba-dum, at all. I'm hearing the wipers, I'm hearing the packs, I'm hearing the engines. Aircraft just landing there on our 12 o'clock by. Well, departure looks quite busy. This is real world traffic. I wish you just used the real world logos. And I've also noticed here the wipers do not seem to be affecting the raindrops at all, so I don't know why that is. I thought that was one of the first things that Flight Sim did, the wipers interacting with the raindrops. Well, we're next. Somebody just lining up there in the distance. I don't know if you can make that out if I zoom in a little bit. Just check we turn things back on. Oh, what were we cruising at? By the way, we're at basically 300 feet, so let's set that. Just in case we need to return. Let's have a quick look here. Uh, 240, flight level 240. Couple of heavier planes than me. 777s, Dreamliners or the likes, going for long range cruise. That could even be an Airbus A340 at the front there. Although no, I think it's only got one engine under each wing, so scratch that. Huge plane for just two engines. Well, let's go ahead. I'm going to put the transponder on now. Come on. That guy's departing. Off he goes. This guy's got permission to line up and wait. We've got traffic caution here. I assume that means someone's on final. Alas, it could have just been this guy here. Just because there probably is other traffic. Oh, no, actually, no, there isn't. By the visibility is bad. Yeah, this is summer in France, man. And look at it. When we take off crosswind, if we take a look at the sock there, we'll be coming from the left, which means we'll need some right rudder to keep straight. And looks like our guy's beginning his roll. So let's go ahead and... Oh no, he's stopped. There he goes. So we'll now go position and wait. So strobe light on. We've already turned the transponder on. APU can disappear. Should have already had the signs on, but let's ding dong the cabin crew to let them know it's time. Landing lights on. Taxi light off. Wing lights on. Quick glance left. Let's come to a stop. There we go. Alright, let's get the trifecta on. So flight directors first, and then H, LNAV, VNAV. Auto throttles on. Winds up the engines. Release to parking brakes. Taxi light on. Start the clock. And let's go.
Airspeed's alive.
Don't think we've quite got the visibility that we was hoping to enjoy the city of Paris.
V1T.
Up we go. Wheels up.
Positive rate of climb.
That's a steep angle of climb. Look at that, 20 degrees. Auto throttle having a bit of a fit there as to what to do. There's that 2,000 foot restriction. That was an aggressive descent. Let's go ahead, put the autopilot on. And flaps one. Flaps up. Auto brake off. Gear lever off. Taxi light and turn offs off. We'll keep the start switches on just because of the heavy rain and the lighting also. Yeah, we're not seeing anything here. Let's assume we've been cleared up now. Oh, it's carrying on the climb anyway. Let's go all the way up to cruise 24. Legs page. No other height restrictions along the way. And there's the last of what we're going to see of Paris. Unbelievable. Remember the UK being famous for this sort of weather. No longer is anything like as bad as it used to be. But it was pretty much fog and rain at one point. Let's get rid of the wipers. Start switches can come off as well. As we emerge from the clouds at 6,000. I think right there can probably be the screenshot. You see, this is the same sort of bug, if you want to call it that, as X-Plane, where once you're above the clouds, the fog that there was down low completely disappears. As you see, it's like it's clear. Aside from the clouds, look, down there is clear now. Yet when we were down there, we couldn't even see half the way along the runway. British Airways, yes indeed. I still feel like I really owe these guys because, again, British Airways was the airline I flew with probably 100 or more times in my lifetime. Again, I went to Germany 3 or 4 times a year as a kid, so, you know, even before counting in any other holidays, 3 or 4 times a year, that's 6 to 8 flights a year. Multiply that by, you know, growing up, you're talking 100 flights. And the latter half of which they used to let me sit in cockpit for landing. And again, I think I can, yeah, they have modelled it. Look, the chair, that's where I sat. Right there. And then the stewardesses, I think they still were called stewardesses at the time. Although the door worked like a safe back then, you'd sit there and they would come there and they'd be talking literally right behind your head. But it was all good stuff, and you could pull headphones out from there and listen in and hear everything that was going on. It was a lot of fun. I'd say it'd be a lot of fun at any age, but especially, you know, when you're still a kid. Anyway, we're going through, and we are standard, which is, as far as I'm aware, basically the same anyway there. 10 foot in QNH 2992. And so that corkscrew maneuver is about finished. We've got one more waypoint to go, and then we are trending north. In fact, let's give ourselves a shortcut and go now direct to Bravo Oscar Victor. Surely can't be Bovington, but oops. There we go. Up, select it. Let's take a look then at our arrival into Heathrow. So we'll get rid of this. Interested here, it says runway 27 left, not used. VATSIM. Oh, this is great. So you actually get the stuff in from VATSIM. Arrival runway 27 right. Okay, I really like that it shows that there. So let's go ahead and modify our approach accordingly. So it looks like we're coming up to 24,000 feet. We'll get rid of the landing lights off. I'd almost forgot. Let's also turn this down to 10 for the cruise. And there we go, heading north now. So Heathrow wise, we are expecting to begin on the following arrival that begins at Aliso or Alesso, and that takes us to Biggin Hill. BIG. And from BIG then we need our 27 right approach, seen as that's where it's at. So here's 27 right ILS. We'll pin that. So if we see that chart here, and we also need the chart that takes us from Biggin Hill, the initial approach, there we go, from the BIG. And so the initial approach from BIG takes us to this one, this little S maneuver, and then it's 27 right, which is the uppermost runway that we'll be landing on here. So frequency 110.30. I best tune that in before I forget. 110.30 active, and I'll put it on your side as well. London 1360, I'll have that my side for now, and your side can have Biggin Hill, which is 15.1. Both of those are in, and if we take a look on the nav page, none are yet receiving, so we're still quite far away. We're still in northern France. Just planning this because it's going to come in awfully quick, so let's just finish it off. So depart arrival, then EGLL arrival, as we said, 27 right, transitioning through Big, and our star is the Aliso 1 Hotel. Aliso 1 Hotel. There we go. We'll just quickly check that looks more or less right. Legs. Step. 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 There's Aliso, so we got to check all of this looks okay. So in a straight line to Big. That's now done. Let's zoom in. From Big, we've got our initial approach. That takes us into this S sort of turn that we was talking about here. So there we see it, that S turn, and that brings us up to this point here, which is this point here, and then straight in. So that looks good. So we'll exec that in. And let's make this disappear for now. Let's go ahead, release the seat belts. Wing lights can disappear, logo lights as well. Looks much nicer up here than it did where we just took off from. The conditions actually look a load better down here anyway. Fog aside, in fact, clearing up a bit here. I was thinking one thing that we could do is just take a look at some of the failures. Menu page, I guess PMDG setup, aircraft, failures, all systems, random service based failures seems to be on. Random failures, oh well it is now. Events per 10 hours. That's quite a good way of doing it. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's give us 30... let's go 40 events per 10 hours, which works out at 4 per hour. And we can limit the number of events. Well, I don't want to limit, but let's go with 40 events per hour. But the progress page on. How are we doing here? Reckons we're going to get there at 11 minutes past 9 Zulu time. If we take a look at the current time, is 8:36, so a little over half an hour to go. Top of descent in 89 miles, or in 14 minutes time. Hopefully we'll have a failure by then. Let's take a look at the descent page then. For the forecast, we'll start filling this in as soon as we are coming up to it. Oh, there's actually a data link request for the winds here. Let's see if that works. Nah, didn't seem to do anything, but I was hopeful for a while. Oh, it says here it's ready. Let's load them in. Oh. It's invalid. It says it's ready, but it's invalid. Okay, let's do them ourselves then. For those who've never done this, you come over to the brief and scroll down. This is the this is the bit that you want wind information. You want to come here to the descent part of it. And this is what you can type in now. Depending on your height is what numbers you want to start with. But seeing as we're starting at 24,000, I'm going to probably start with 200, then 150, then 10. Because we've got 3 rows. Those are the 3 that we've got most suitable. So let's go 200, 150, and 100. So at 200, winds are 223 at 26. Put that in. At 15, it's 232 at 19. And at 10,000, they are 236 at 13. The other useful thing is to put the QNH down for what we are expecting. So if we scroll to the arrival here, Heathrow, QNH same as departure 1014, so just put a / 1014. Now if we take a look at ISO deviation, we see it's 20 degrees here. We know the standard is 14, so if you wanted you could even put 6 degrees in. It may want to say plus 6 degrees. What is the format? I will get there. You watch, it was just a 6. Indeed it was. There we go. So the 6 degrees there's in. And again, that's not 6 degrees warm, the deviation is plus 6. Right, we'll set that. And so this is in, and so this is basically planning the descent based on the winds, the temperature, the pressure, to try and get it more accurate than it would otherwise be. And it looks like we are now picking up big 114 miles away. Let's take a look at some other charts here. But for a start, it's not the one I wanted. This one, I'm going to be on the 136 radial into big, so I'm going to set the course, which is your side, to the reciprocal, which is 316. This is just like your raw data thing. I'm not sure how much this is really done in real life, but certainly if you suddenly lose this computer, you'd be following this. Although I think it would be so much for the crew to do in real life if it really went. Sure, could they do it? Yes, but they'd probably declare some sort of navigational error and get vectors. I'm assuming Let's keep the progress on your side so we can see top of descent 57 miles away. Yes, I wanted to know how high is the airfield. $83.78. So to the nearest 100 is 100 just. Minimums for our category C with the ILS have it all the way down to reduced visibility of 75 meters of 50 feet Cat 3A. Category 2 100 or 102. I'm not sure what the discrepancy in those 2 feet are. Perhaps somebody can let us know if you know what the difference between the radio altimeter of 102 feet with 100 in brackets is. Obviously the decision height 178 is different, you know, we know that, but what's the difference between 102 and 100? Either way, let's assume it's a category 2 approach and we'll go with that accordingly. So here we go. So set to radio. We'll give ourselves 102. There we go. Set. It's a typical 3-degree down and it's a long runway. Uh, 12,800 feet on a heading of 269 degrees. I'm sure it was bang on 270 until recently. I think, I could be wrong, but let's go ahead, pre-dial the course. Of course, magnetic variation and all, it does change over time. I guess that's what I'm referring to, but of course it could just be my bad memory. There's the coastline. Oops. And I believe we're looking down on Normandy here. Where it all took place all those years ago. Yeah, that is Normandy. See if we can pick up the pace a little bit. In fact, I think I'll increase the cost index and try and do it that way. And then it will better plan our descent. So let's go for 40 and see where that would like us to be. Actually bang on where I just asked us to be, it would seem. 0.70. But look at the difference it's made to our flight time. It's only going to get us into Heathrow 1 minute earlier than we were previously estimated to arrive at. And some of that is because of flight restrictions that are to come. Looks like London's just gotten picked up exactly 100 miles. There we see the top of descent marker just over 20 miles away. Let's also put a fix in as soon as we can. But London. Runway 27 right. 5 miles. Performance page then for landing. Gross weight, currently we're 125.3. Apparently when we land, the difference between the fuel that we have now and what we will have is about 1,400 pounds difference. So I'm going to knock our gross weight down to 124. And if you take a look at the speeds there, that only saves us about a knot, but nonetheless it is a knot. We'll go for a flaps 30 approach. 131 knots, and we'll give the 5 knot wind correction. There's our ILS code, 1030 on a heading of 269. 1030 is on the standby on both sides, and we've got our course in there of 269. Top of descent, just 17 or so miles away, so let's go ahead, put the signs back on, increase our angle of dangle, and our first stop was at 18,000 feet, then 7, and then our final is at 2.5. I'm going to go ahead, dial all the way down to 2.5. Seeing as we've got no ATC, and see how it tracks us down. And I'll give us with the vertical profile there to see how it does. And so there you see the first restriction at ETVAX, flight level 180. Which is here, flight level 180. So in theory it should descend us in such a way that it threads us right through that gap as without missing it, and it may choose to continue descending us, or it may hold us there for a bit and then descend. We'll just see how the autopilot prefers to do it. Six or so miles to go. Look at it, so or reducing our speed before it started giving us a descent there. Turn off lights are on, logo lights on, wing lights on. Four miles to go. There it goes. So there you see our vertical profile on schedule to put us right into that gap. "29 minutes since we took the brakes off at Paris Orly. and we're on descent into Heathrow. We're already over the, we're just about to cross here, British mainland. To give you an idea of World War II. The fighter aircraft could do very same. Be on the ground having a cup of tea, whether they're scrambled or on mission. Be over enemy territory very quickly there. Indeed, you do see it. A few seconds before the 30th minute, we are indeed over British mainland. And I zoom in here, see we're about 2.5 miles away from ETVAX, and where that autopilot's got us bang on. And there's 18,000 feet, and there's the ETVAX waypoint. And for some reason, we just got kicked out, and I think that could be a failure. This is interesting. Autopilot still says it's on. LNAV, VNAV. But we definitely got an autopilot disconnect together with a caution there. Let's take a look on the panel. We do have an electric caution. Let's have a look on the electrical panel. And the left side has gone, and so the generator that powers the electric, or the electric generators perhaps I should say, on the left engine's just gone. We've still got it on the right side, but really it should always have a backup, and we are below 18,000, so I'm going to go ahead and start the APU, and then the APU is going to become my secondary source. That's why it also kicked the autopilot off, because the autopilot was operating on my side, the left-hand side. Transitioning, I think, was at 5,000. Oops, I didn't mean to press request for the wins. Otherwise, we're just going to get this flashing all the time, which isn't suitable. So our next restriction in there at big flight level 70. APU is almost settled. There we go. So with the faulty engine on the left, I'm going to put the APU on that side. Autopilot will cycle once again. We'll get it back on. The engine on your side is still providing power on your side. So that there's done. APU bleed is off. Engine bleeds are still functioning normally. So other than that, all is good. Forecasts, yeah, the uplink ready, yeah, they weren't working. I accidentally clicked on that. So let's have a look how else we're doing. Well, it's a mess is what it is. Big 7,000 feet. And then we've got the left turn. So we're a little faster than we'd like to be. There is a speed restriction right here. It's just asked for drag, so let's go ahead. Let's give it some. Landing lights as we're about to drop through 10. Seven miles to lose 3,000 feet as well as 20 knots. I don't know, man. I mean, we've got flight D10 up. Let's see. Profile looks like it may make it, but again, I'm not convinced about the speed. We'll see. 5 miles, 2,000 feet to go. And the 20 knots. Vertical deviation here, we are catching up, but again, it doesn't factor in the speed. That's my concern. If it starts powering up the engines, I'll do away with the boards. They're starting to wind up. So there's 7,500, there's the speed, and
Traffic.
we are,
Traffic.
and we've got traffic. And this will be real world. Someone's been dropped in on big right behind us. Get real world weather as well, so no surprise that they're using the same runway and the same approach. See if we can find him. He is to have disappeared. Drag required? I don't think so. It's doing okay. I'm going to go flaps 1. We've got a speed restriction here, 180 coming up. Let's go flaps 2, seeing as it's asking for drag, and flaps 2 will give it. I was hoping to get a little flight over London. We may see it on this S-turn. If we do, I'll disconnect and go manual. So at this green dotted line here, this bigger circle, the outer one, we set at 25 miles away from London. So the airport, Heathrow. And the smaller circle, which is this dotted one here, is 5 miles from the end of the runway. So ideally, we want to be, if not already, gears down and fully configured at that point. I'm going to pick up the speed and fly the restriction. And begins the turn. Go ahead, put the engines on continuous and seat the cabin crew. It's a long runway, so auto brakes minimum. I will arm the speed brakes. There we go. That's a real nice view there of the situation. I think I'm going to switch to a manual descent all the way down to 2.5. Switch over to local 1014. Taking a quick look round, and we do have visual conditions, so I'm going to disconnect the autopilot and we will go do our own thing, but we will reconnect with the autopilot for the approach. Let's go take the city tour. Oh, what's this? Fire on 2. I guess we should pull it. Increase the power on 1. Let's go ahead, get the autopilot back on. Auto throttle is disconnected. I'm going to manually control the single engine. Cross bleed start. I don't think so. We've lost the engine, man. Engine 2 overheat. I mean, the parameters, as best I can tell, appeared normal. Init ref now for the approach. I'm sure there was an engine out option here. Guess not. Turn the fuel off. Cross bleed. We'll open it. Engine 1 remains, which is the left side, which is also where the APU bleed is, so we can't have the APU offering independent bleed from the engine. Otherwise I would. I guess because of this we'll switch to auto brake 2, and it's going to be a flaps 15 approach. Let's go ahead, activate the ILS both sides, and arm the approach. ILS is here. Legs on your side. I'm just going to remind myself of the approach speed, which is ref plus 5 or 141. And that is for a flaps 15. Until then, I'm going to keep it high. By hell, those buildings look ugly. What's happened to my scenery? I mean, the waterfront looks good, but the rest of it left a little to be desired, didn't it? What's wrong with my scenery? The stadium looks good. I mean, some of it looks alright at a distance, but anyway. Well, we're coming up to the glide slope. Getting behind the power curve there, not a good thing to do when you're on single engine at all. Here's the ILS. Runway is in sight. I'm going to do away with that now. And there we go, beginning our descent. I assume if we miss it's back up to 3, so we'll put that in. And there we go, down we go. And there's our vertical profile onto final, looking great. We're going to go for flaps 10. Just gradually increasing the flaps because of the single engine up. See how it handles. And gear. Speed dropping off a bit there, but it's okay. A bit more. And here's 15. Looking for 141. Get rid of the autopilot. There we go. Really hope the other one don't go at this point, or we've had it, right? There's 141. Banking into the working engine a bit. It's trying to skew us round. I want to put more rudder on, but
400.
According to that, I was slipping a bit. There we go. Got quite a bit of left roll in there, you can see, to try and hold it level.
200. Approaching minimums.
We've got it.
Minimums.
Continue.
50. 40. 30. 20.
Airspeed full. Airspeed full.
It's part and parcel of landing. Come on, man. There we go. Touchdown. I'm not even going to idle reverse it. Speed's trending down nicely. Oh well, that was nice and unexpected. But engine overheat warning that caused the Firebell to go off. As far as I'm aware, there was no fire. And when we were checking, so I didn't, pull out the extinguisher. When well, as I say, I didn't pull it. I didn't twist it. I just pulled it out. Let's take this one. Manual braking. Disarm the auto brakes. Bring the flaps in. Speed brakes in. Yeah, so there we go. Runway 27 right is vacated, and with it landing lights can go, taxi lights can come on, starter switches. Guess we should have turned the faulty engine starter switches off anyway, although it would have been cut out by the fire extinguisher in any case. Big plane. Must be the A380. In comes the next one on final. And in we come. This one's going to be ours. Turn off some taxi lights off. Transponder. Strobe lights off. Wing light off. And there we go. Stop. Parking brake set. Turn the other engine off. Get the transponder fully off. Anti-collision light off. Signs off. Window and probe heats off. Main menu, flight sim actions, ground services, set the chocks, request power, doors. Let's get the air stairs going out. Oh cool, they're animated, look at that. Animated air stairs, there we go. Fancy, fancy. Oh well, I was glad to be able to show that together with the random failure. It was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed that, and until next time here from Heathrow Airport, take care. Keep it in night rules. Keep it in what? I was having a stroke when I keep it into night flight rules. Take care. Bye bye.